All right, Shalom. This is your brother Shamar from the Phoenix camp. With that being said, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Kakadash. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutation to the brothers that are doing this work unto sincerity. Joe Brian to lesson this Psalms 25 and 17. It says, "The troubles of my heart are enlarged, or bring down me out of my distresses." So there's times that in this truth, and you're walking this truth, that you're brought to a very low state, man, where situations and circumstances, they vex you, man. And that can come from your personal life, man. That can come from your job. That can come from your home life. That can come from a lot of things. A lot of things the Lord, puts us through. Because that's a part of this truth. Because part of this truth is being in those states of of lowliness and trouble and distress. And a sad countenance. Those things happen to men of the Lord, and there's plenty examples in the scripture where the men of the Lord, they were brought very low. King David being a prime example of that. Throughout all the scriptures, there's many instances and examples where he was brought to those times of self-contemplation and sadness and aching of heart. He wrote about it. He wrote about the contrite spirit, man. Let's go ahead and get that. And it affects all brothers, man. It says, well, just a few scriptures right here. Psalm 34 and 18. It says, "The Lord is nigh unto them that are of broken heart, and saveth such as be as of contrite spirit." So a broken heart, or when you're in that low state, that contrite spirit. Let's go ahead to get the definition for contrite. It says, crushed, literally powder, figuratively destruction, contrite. So you can be crushed, man. You can feel like you're defeated. You know, you can feel like you're a state where you're defeated. And since David went through those things, that's part of the truth. He wrote that down for us to know that's going to be part of our walk, man. There's a balance to it, but we got to understand when you go through these things, it's because the Lord wants to toughen up your spirit, man. That's when you got to use those experiences to grow a thick skin, to grow your spiritual muscle, to elevate you to as a more enduring man. So let's run that back again. Psalm 25 and Psalm 25 and 17. So the troubles of my heart are enlarged, or bring down me out of my distresses. Look upon my affliction and pain, and forgive all my sins. So these are the things that David went through. He went through distress. He went through troubles of his mind. He went through afflictions. He went through pain. He went through all these things, man. So as someone as great as King David, which was one of the which is was the greatest leader of our nation, if he went through these things as great as he was, what makes you think that we're not going to go through these things? And David served the Lord, man, and he had his downfalls. He had his slips. He had his fuck ups, just like we all do. But throughout all of this, and that's this lesson, all of this, he always remained faithful to the Lord. He always remained faithful to the things that he was obligated to do. And this is all part of the walk, man. Because you got to look at it like this: if we were to be in a state of happiness all the time, however you want to call it, you would get too comfortable, man. You got to go through afflictions. You got to go through pains and distresses. You got to go through these things to build you up. This is part of every man's life, man. It's just that the difference between us and two-thirds is that ours is different, man. And you always got to understand there's sacrifice to be made in following the Lord because He wants full commitment. And in having full commitment to the Lord, you're gonna have to let go of a lot of things in your life, man. Yahweh Shai spoke about that. He spoke about the pearl of great price. So these are all part of the walk, man. Let's get 2 Corinthians 4, but 2 Corinthians 4th chapter. This is 2 Corinthians 4 and 8, and it says, "We are troubled." Let's get that word. "Hard pressed on every side, yet not distressed." Let's get that. Crushed. That goes with contrite spirit. That definition. We are perplexed, but not in despair. So, even though our carnal flesh and our carnal mind to be without resource, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn, to be at loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed. You see that? But even though we're in these states of great depression and sadness and all the shit that life throws us, and there's all kinds of stresses, man, troubles that can come at you, financial stresses, physical stresses, stresses in your relationship, women's stresses, all these things, man, they can take a toll on you. And if you entertain those thoughts, then that can ultimately destroy you, man. So you gotta be a more strong-minded individual when it comes to going through things like this. Now, you gotta understand that there's no stopping. You're gonna go through this, man. You're gonna go through these things. You know, you're gonna go through all the trials and tribulations, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. They're all gonna be brought upon you. But you gotta be built up in the spirit that you still keep your hope. That's why it says that we are but not in despair. Persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Ben Yahushai, that the life also Ben Yahushai might be made manifest in our body. So which we live, for we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahweh's sake. The life also Yahushai might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So all these things got to be happening to you, man. Now, there's many scriptures that speak about that. It's talking about being glory in tribulations, and that's kind of that's kind of goes against each other. Like you got to ask yourself, well, how do I glory in tribulation? It says, well, I'll start at verse 1, Romans 5:1. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with Yahweh the Lord Messiah. So we have peace through the Spirit. We're gonna have to go this, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace when we stand and rejoice in the hope of the glory of Yahweh. So we got to rejoice in the hope. And what's our hope? Our hope is get first and foremost getting the hell out of here, man. Being free from this captivity. And it's just not just a captivity of working or being around wicked all the time. It's a captivity of our own thoughts and emotions and dealings. It's our captivity of our own thoughts, man. And our hope is that we're gonna be free from all this sadness, troubles, persecutions, pains. That's our hope. It said not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulations work as patience, man. So tribulations have a purpose, or else why would you glory in them? So let's get that word patience. It says steadfastness, constancy, endurance. See, so that's what going through tribulation and trials does. It toughens you up, man. It gives you a thick skin to have an enduring mindset, you know. And the scripture says, there's a scripture that says nothing, something to the effect that present at the moment or present. I'm gonna find that one. This is Hebrews 12:11. It says now no chastening. Let's get the word chastening. It's like got a brief interruption, but this is Hebrews 12:11. It says now no chastening. It's like let's get that definition. Discipline Well, that's how you gotta look at it. It's a disciplining. It's a chastisement. It's a correction. And one of the things you gotta learn, you gotta learn to correct your mental thoughts, man. You gotta be a soldier. Soldier endures things. I think that's one of the words definition for word soldier. It means enduring. Said I know chastening for the present seems to be joyous. So you gotta be glorious. You gotta glory in tribulations, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be joyous while you're going through it, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward, and this is the point that you gotta remember. That's why I talk about keeping the never not being in despair. It says but afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby, trained thereby. It says wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and feeble knees. So see that. So basically, the Lord's, he's telling us through the scriptures that we're going to go through these different trials and tribulations, depressions and sadness and so on and so forth. But they're all for a purpose, man. I'm going to back again of verse 11. It says, nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out the way, but let it rather be healed. See that? So basically, get your head out your ass, man. If you're going through those low states, get your head out your ass, man. We have to go through these things. We're men of the Lord, man. We're men of the Lord. Let fucking bring it on. That's to be a glorious in tribulations. That's having that fucking bring it on spirit. Bring it on, man. That's how you got to be in the face of troubles and despairs and sadness. You got to say, hey, well, fucking bring it on, man. Give it your best shot. You know. That's why it says right there, wherefore lift up the hands which hang down the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, let that which is lame be turned out the way, but let it rather be healed, man. So there is a healing. Guess who's gonna do the healing, man? The Lord is. There's a book of there's a scripture in Job that describes that. Let's see if I can find it. This is Job 5 and 17. It says, behold, happy is the man whom Yahweh correcteth. Therefore despise not the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth and his hands make whole. So he maketh sore. So he's the one that puts us through these afflictions and pains, trials, and tribulations, just like King David did. He put those on King David, man, to build him up. It says, he maketh sore and bindeth up. He woundeth and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, in the war and in war from the power of the sword. There shall be hid from the scourge of the tongue, these shalt up your face destruction when it comes. And how are you going to have the mentality to do all that? By the Lord constantly putting you in these situations of trouble and distress, and building up your mental strength and your spiritual strength to endure and withstand those things. That's why the scripture says, he that is endureth to the end, the same that shall be saved. Endure what? Everything, man. Everything. That's why you gotta have a strong mentality when it comes to things. That's why, check it out, man, and jump down to verse 22. It's, at destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth. So how are you going to build up a mentality to laugh at destruction and famine? By going through the bullshit, which is the small shit right now, in your personal life. Like I said, troubles come in all types, in colors and shapes and sizes, man. It could be a fucking woman. It could be finances. It could be physical health. It could be mental stresses. It could be demons. But in order for us to have the mentality to laugh at destruction and famine, to be bold in the face of affliction, to be joyous or glory in tribulations, you got to build up your mentality to do so. So with that being said, just a real quick lesson. Most I bueno, hope was edifying. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Let's keep on pushing. Shalom.